Sorry, I just saw that. Let me guess. That's where I gotta fly towards. Looking like. Here we go.
I think it's hostile.
You think? It's looked like the bad guys from Robotech and Star Wars, The Empire, had a baby. Ah! No, 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 no! Owie, owie. Really? He can one-shot me? I might need the Vogon Enforcer for this. Yeah, he legit can one-shot me. Oh my god. I might need the Vogon Enforcer here. They did have a baby. His name is Hank. Hank the Tank. Hank the Tank. Buddy. Alright, we're gonna take Vogon. Hey! Oh, okay. I've seen things. Things you people couldn't imagine. I've seen sea beams glitter off the Tannhauser Gate. Or whatever. Such a beautiful speech. All these moments will be lost in time. Like tears in rain. Time to die. You know, like, Tears in Rain was completely, ad-libbed. He did the whole thing, but he added, like, Tears in Rain. Let's see if the Vogon Enforcer does better! Wait, what? Really? Damn it. Well, I have been trying, believe you me. Really? Alright, this ship is fast enough. I don't know what the... This is gonna get me more creative. The heck? Bro! The heck just happened? What the hell? Bro, where are you? There we go.
I think it's hostile.
You think? Hey, Hank. How you doing? Just gonna shoot you, okay? What the hell? I had a shield! Dude! Hank the Chank, man, you gotta chill! What? Dude! Yes, apparently the shield is worthless to no! I'm trying. All right, left. Ah! No! I moved! What the hell is this? Okay, work! Haha! It worked! Ah! Die, all of you! Oh, God! Frank! Chill! Oh, come on! This is your problem, Frank. Ah! Whoa, 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 woo, 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 woo. Oh god, 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 oh god. Sweet spot! Yes! It's like friggin' Dark Souls! Ow! Really? Okay, I need to switch my thing to healing. Ah! Ah! Ah, sweet spot! Oh, God! This is some friggin' Dark Souls BS! Ah! Ah, missiles! Ah, bullets! No, 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 no! Ah! 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 Oh! Oh, God! Oh, God! Oh, Snoogies! Snickles! Dickles! Pickles! 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 Snickles! Chickles! Ackles! Pickles! Kickles! Dickles! Eccles! Fickles! Ickles! Pickles! Ickles! Jickles! Lickles! Mickles! Nickels! Okles! Pokles! Ah! Skewers! No! Was not in the sweet spot! Angelica Pickles. I was going through the alphabet. Ackles, Bickles, Kickles, Dickles, yeah. Eccles. Ekans. Shadow Cat seeping. Yay! Food!
It's hostile.
All up in this battle like Spartans! Eat hearty! For tonight we dine in hell! Whoa. Sweet spot, sweet spot, sweet spot, sweet spot, sweet spot! Ah! Heal, here, dodge, 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 dodging. It's like Piccolo's like, dodge! I love in 4-star when, like, Gohan actually dodges, and you hear Nail in his head going, "You must be so proud." And like Piccolo doesn't want to admit it, so he's all like, well, he could be dodging better. Yeah. Ah. Okay, I got a joke. Ready for a joke? Ah! Sweet spot! Sweet spot! That's not the joke. No! Oh, God! Okay. Alright, that shite. Okay, so here's the joke. Rehealed heart. That's not the joke. Okay, so, the joke is, a man walked into a bar, and he walked up to the guy, and he was very, very, very drunk. And he's just like, hey, man, give me a beer. And the guy looked at the barman looked at the drunk guy, and he was just like, nah, man, you're, like, way too drunk. So then, God damn it! So then the guy, he went up to the bartender looked at the guy and he said, nah, man, you're too drunk. You're too drunk to drink here. You got to go home. And the drunk guy didn't want to be mean, so he was like, oh, okay. And so he left out the same door that he came in. And so then the bartender walked down and he came to the corner and he turned right because that was the corner and that was the way. And he saw another door and he came into it and it was the same bartender because he didn't realize that the bar, sweet spot. Okay, so sweet spot. So he didn't realize that the bar had 4 doors, 1 on each wall. And so he went through the second door and he's just like, hey, Mr. Bartender, can I have a beer? And the bartender's like, not realizing he's getting annoyed. He's like, hey, no, I told you. I fucked up the joke. I'm going to do it again. Sweet spot. Okay, so this drunk guy walks into a bar. And he walks up to the bartender, and he goes, hey, can I have a beer? The bartender's like, no, you are way too drunk. And the guy's like, oh, okay. And so he leaves. And then he goes in, and he comes into the door to the left. And then he comes in, and he goes up to the bartender, which is is at the bar in the middle. And he goes, hey, Mr. Bartender, can I have a drink? And the bartender's like, no, you're too drunk. Go home. And he's just like, oh, okay. And so then he leaves, and then he goes in, and he heals. Okay. And then he goes out, and then he goes to the next door to the left, and then he goes up to the bartender, and he goes, hey, Mr. Bartender, can I have a beer? I died, damn it. I'll never get this joke done. So this guy goes into a bar, and he goes up to the bartender, and he goes, hey, Mr. Bartender, can I have a beer? And the bartender's like, whoa, man, no, you are way too drunk. Way too drunk. And he's like, oh, okay. And so then he leaves. And then he goes around the corner and he comes through the door to the left. No! Damn it! Okay, so this bartender comes into a bar. And he goes into the bartender. This drunk guy goes into a bar and he goes into the bartender. And he goes, hey, Mr. Bartender, man, can I have a drink? And the bartender's like, nah, man, you're way too drunk. So the drunk guy's like, oh, okay. And so then he leaves, and then he goes to the right, and he goes around the right corner, and he goes through the door, and he walks up to the same bartender, and he's just like, hey, Mr. Bartender, can I have a beer? And the bartender's like, nah, man, you're way too drunk. And so the drunk guy's like, all right. And so then he leaves, and then he goes into the right, goes around the right, and goes through the next door, goes up to the same bartender, and goes, hey, Mr. No! I want to finish this joke! So this drunk guy goes into a bar, and he goes up to the bartender, and he's just like, hey, Mr. Bartender, can I have a drink? Oh, yeah, and the bar's in the middle. So the bartender's like, nah, man, you can't have a drink, you're too drunk. So the bartender, no, the drunk guy goes and he leaves, and then he goes around the corner, and he turns right, and he goes through the next door, and he goes up to the same bartender. He goes, hey, Mr. Bartender, can I have a drink? The bartender's like, no, you're drunk, go home. And he goes like, oh, all right. And so then he leaves, and then he goes around the corner. I barely missed the missiles. And he goes around the corner. Sweet spot. Yes. Sweet spot. And then he goes around the corner, and he goes to the next door to the right, which is the same bottom. Which is the same door of this, which is a different door because it's on the right, but it's the same bar. And he goes into the bartender for the third time, and he goes, hey, Mr. Bartender, can I have a drink? The bartender's like, nah, man, seriously, like, this is not funny anymore. You gotta go home. You can't drink here. And he's like, oh, all right. Then I go for the sweet spot. And then, no! Heal, 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 heal. Yes. Okay, so then he goes out the door, and he goes to the right, and he goes to the last door. He goes to the same bartender, goes to the bartender, and goes, damn, Mr. Bartender, how many bars do you own? Ha! I finished the joke! Ha! Fuck you! I finished the joke! And you're gonna die! Ah! Okay, I got another joke. Let me tell this other joke. Okay, so this guy is out, this cowboy, he's out, and he gets attacked by Indians, right? And so they take him in and they put him for trial, and then they find, haha, you are guilty for crimes against our tribe, and the punishment is death. But first, you get 3 wishes. So the cowboy guy's like, yeah, all right, sure, cool. I want to talk to my horse. And they're like, okay, sure, you can talk to your horse. And he's like, fine. So he talks to his horse, and he lifts up the right ear, and he whispers in it. Horse takes off like a gunshot. Horse comes back about an hour or so later. Ah, missiles! Comes back an hour or so later, and then he goes up, but he's got like a naked blonde on the back of the horse, and she's naked. And so not the bartender, but the cowboy's like, ah, man. And so he covers his eyes, and he's really frustrated, and he goes up to the horse, and he goes up to the chief, and he goes, hey, chief, I want to talk to that horse again. And chief's like, all right, man. And so he, no! Okay, so this drunk guy goes into a bar, and then he goes up to the bartender. He's like, hey, bartender, let me have a drink. So the bartender's like, nah, man, you're way too drunk. And he goes, okay. And so he leaves. And then he goes around the corner of the building, and he goes to the right. And there's another door to the same bar, and he goes into the bar, and he goes up to the bartender, and he's like, hey, Mr. Bartender, can I have a drink? And the bartender's like, laughs. He's like, because he thinks it's funny. He's like, nah, man, you got to go home. You can't go home. You can't be here, man. You're too drunk. And so he goes, and the guy's like, all right. And so he leaves. And then he goes around the corner, goes to the right, and he goes up to the door of the same bar, goes up through the door, goes into the bar, because the bar's in the middle, and he goes up to the bartender. He's like, hey, Mr. Bartender, man, can I have a drink? And the guy's like, no, this is not funny anymore, man. You got to go home. So he's like, all right. And so then he goes out, the drunk guy leaves, and no! Damn it! Why are you hitting me, missiles? I'm already dead! Okay, so this guy, he's drunk, and he wants a drink, and he's trying to, he's ready for a drink, and he's drunk. And so he goes up to this bar, and he goes up to the bartender, and he goes, hey, Mr. Bartender, can I have a drink? And the bartender's like, nah, man, you're much too drunk. You got to go home. So he's like, oh, all right. And so then he leaves, and he goes out to the corner around the right, and he goes up to a door on his right side. And so he goes through it in the same bar. He doesn't know because he's drunk. And then he goes up to the bartender. He's like, hey, Mr. Bartender, can I have a drink? And the bartender's like, nah, man, that's really funny, but nah, man, you got to go home. So the drunk guy's like, all right. And so then he leaves, and then he goes home, and then he goes to the right around the corner, and he goes up to the next door, the same bar, and so he goes into it. And this is like the north side now, and he's all like, hey, Mr. Bartender, can I have a drink? And the bartender's like, nah, man, this is not funny anymore. You're drunk. You got to go home. So he's like, oh, all right. And so he goes, and then he goes around. He doesn't go home. He's drunk. So he goes around the corner. No! Frack. So this guy, he's really, really drunk. And then he goes... This guy is really, really drunk. So he goes up to the bar and he goes through the door. And let's say this is door on the south side. And so he goes up to the bartender and he goes, hey, Mr. Bartender, can I have a drink? And the bartender's like, nah, man, you're much too drunk. You gotta go home. And he's like, oh, all right. So he leaves through the same door. And he goes around to the right. And he goes through the door. And he's going through, like, the east door. No, he's like, west door now. And he's all like, hey, Mr. Bartender, in the middle. No! What hit me? Damn it. Okay, Here we go again. So this drunk guy goes into a bar, and he goes up to because he goes in through the south door of the bar, and he goes, "Hey, Mr. Bartender, I'm drunk. Can you give me a beer?" And he's just like, "Nah, man, you're much too drunk. You gotta go home." So the drunk guy's like, "All right," and so he goes to go home. Ah! And so he goes. He doesn't go home because he's drunk and he wants to go into the bar. So he goes up around the corner, and then he goes through the west door, and he's all like, "Hey, Mr. Bartender, can I have a drink?" And ow! And then the bartender's like, "No, fuck!" So drunk guy goes into the bar, and he goes up to the bartender, and he's just like, "Oh, Mr. Bartender, I'm drunk, man. Can you give me a beer?" And he's just like, "Nah, man, you're drunk. You got to go home." And the guy's like, "Oh, all right." So he leaves through the same door he came in, which let's say it's the south door, and he goes around the right corner, and then so he goes through the west door, the whiskey door, and he goes up to the bartender who's in the middle, and he goes, "Hey, Mr. Bartender, can I have a drink?" And the bartender's like, "Nah, man, it's funny, it's cute, but nah. You can't have a drink." And so the guy's like, "Oh, all right." And so then he leaves through the west door, and he comes around, and he goes up through the north door, and he doesn't know because he's drunk. So he goes up to the bartender, and he goes, "Hey, Mr. Bartender, can I have a drink?" And the bartender's like, "This is not funny anymore, man. No, you can't have a drink. You got to go home." And so the guy leaves, and he's like, "All right." So he leaves, and he goes around the corner, and then he goes in through the east side, and then he goes, "Damn, Mr. Bartender, how many bars you own? Ha! I finished the joke. All right, next joke. So it's cow fucking hell!" I'm going to finish this tonight. So this drunk guy goes into a bar, and he goes up to the bartender. He's like, "Hey, Mr. Bartender, I just came in through your south door. I'm very, very drunk, but I'd like a beer." And the bartender's like, "Nah, man, you can't have a drink. You're too drunk. You gotta go home." And so the bartender's like, "Oh, okay." "Sure, man, no problem." And the bartender's like, "Nah, man, you're too drunk. You gotta go home." So the drunk guy's like, "Oh, all right." And so then he leaves. But then he turns around in the right corner, and then he ends up going through the west door, and he goes up to the bartender. He's like, "Hey, Mr. Bartender, can I have a beer?" The bartender's like, "Nah, man, you're much too drunk. You gotta go home." And he's just like, "Oh, all right." So then he leaves through that east door, and he goes around the right corner. Then he comes in through the north door, and he goes up to the bartender. He's like, "Hey, Mr. Bartender, I'm drunk, but I'd like a beer." And the bartender's like, "Nah, man, it's not funny anymore. You gotta leave. You gotta go home." And so the drunk guy's like, "Oh, all right." And so then he leaves, and then he goes around the corner, and then he goes, "No, no, oh God, sweet spot, yeah, there we go." Okay, so he goes around the corner, and then he goes in through the east side. He walks into the bartender, and he goes, "Damn, Mr. Bartender, how many bars you own?" "Ha! I said the joke. I finished it. All right, next joke. All right, this cowboy's out riding around he's riding out of band, and a bunch of Indians catch him, and then they're all like, they put him to trial, and then they're like, "All right, you're guilty of crimes against our tribe, so we got to put you to death." And the guy's like, "No!" And they're like, "But you get 3 wishes." He's like, "Oh, all right. So I get my 3 wishes. My first wish is I want to talk to fucking no!" Ah! I'm stressed out here. No time for the PC police. Okay, so this drunk guy goes into a bar, and he goes up to the south door, and he goes up to the bartender. He's like, "Hey, Mr. Bartender, man, can I have a drink?" And the bartender's like, "Nah, man, you're just too drunk. You gotta go home." And the drunk guy's like, "Oh, all right, man." And so he goes out to the corner, and he goes to the right, and then he goes into the east door, and he goes up to the bartender, and he goes, "Mr. Bartender, man, can I have a beer?" And the bartender's like, "Nah, man, you're much too drunk. You gotta go home." And the bartender's like, "Oh, all right, man." And then he goes out the east door. He goes around the corner. He goes to the right. Then he goes to the north door, and he walks up to the bartender. And he goes, "Hey, Mr. Bartender, can I please have a beer?" The bartender's like, "Nah, man, it's not funny anymore. You got to go home." And the drunk guy's like, "Oh, all right." So he goes to go home, and then he goes around the corner, and then he comes in through the east door, and he goes up to and he goes up to the bartender. And he goes, damn, Mr. Bartender, how many bars do you own? And then there's a Native American. Oh fuck! There's a cowboy out and he's riding around. And the Native Americans catch him and they put him in trial. And they find that he's guilty for crimes against their tribe. And then he does the heart thing too early. And then the cowboy comes out and he goes, well, do I get 3 wishes? They're like, yeah, you get 3 wishes. So he goes, all right. So my first wish is gonna be talking to my horse. So he goes up to the horse. He lifts the horse right ear, and he whispers through his ear, and he whispers in the ear of his horse, and the horse takes off. And then the horse comes back like an hour later, and he's got like this naked blonde on his back, and because he's a horse, and she's naked, and she's blonde, and she's really pretty. So the guy covers his eyes, and he shakes his head because he's doing the Patrick Stewart face palm, and then he takes the blonde woman into a tent, and he's in there for like an hour. And so then he comes out, and he goes to the chief, and he goes, Chief, it's been an hour later. I want to talk to my horse again. That's my second wish. And the chief's like, all right. So this guy goes, and then it was whispered in his horse's other ear. If I said the right one now, it's his left ear. And then, I got hit. And then he goes up to, no! And so he goes up to his horse and he whispers in the right ear. And the horse takes off. Horse comes back an hour later. This time, woman's naked, but her hair's red because she's a redhead. And so the guy does the Patrick Swayze face palm. And he goes up to the horse. And he's like, no, horse! And he smacks the horse in the face. And then he picks up the horse, and then he goes, takes the redhead back to the same TP, and then he's in there for like 3 hours. So now he comes out. But word, oh, wait, no! So word gets back about this naked woman-bearing horse. And so the guy goes up to the chief, and he's like, Chief, you're gonna think I'm crazy, but I gotta talk to my horse again. And they're like, we want you to talk to the horse again, too. And so he goes up to the horse, and he lifts up both ears, and then he says, I said posse! Ha! I finished the second joke! Knock, knock! Who's there? Amos! Amos who? A mosquito bit me! Knock, knock! Who's there? Andy! Andy who? Andy bit me again! Ha! I told another joke! Ha! I'm on a roll! Fuck, I need another joke! These two guys got into a wreck, and this one guy hit the... No! This is actually a sad reflection of alcoholism. Every night, this must be like a being in hell. Okay, all right. I died. You know what this means? This drunk guy comes into a bar, and he goes up to the bartender, and he's like, hey, bartender, man, can I have a drink? And so the bartender goes, nah, man, you're much too drunk. So the guy goes, all right, and so then he leaves, and he goes out around the corner, and now it's the south door. The first door that he came through was to the south, because the bar's in the middle. And so then he goes up to the bartender, because he went out and he went around the corner. He went through the east door, and he's all like, Mr. Bartender, man, can I have a beer? And he's just like, bartender's like, nah, man, you're much too drunk. You got to go home. And so the drunk guy's like, the drunk guy's like, oh, all right, man. So he goes out, he goes around the corner. And he goes out to the right corner. Now he's coming through the north door. He comes up to the bartender. Bartender's in the middle. He goes up to the bartender. Goes, hey, Mr. Bartender, can I have a beer? The bartender's like, nah, man, I told you, you're much too drunk. This is not funny. Go. And so he leaves. And then he goes up. He goes around the door. He comes in through the east door now. And he goes up to the bartender. He's like, damn, Mr. Bartender, how many bars do you own? I finished that joke. All right, so this cowboy is on his horse. It's his favorite horse. He's going around. And then these Native Americans come out. And so these Indian Native Americans people, they come in and they capture him. And so they bring him, ow! And they bring him back to the tribe. And then they put him on trial. And then they say, you're guilty you're guilty against tribes against the crime. And then they sat there and they go, so you got to go be put to death. But we'll give you 3 wishes first. And so the guy's like, oh, all right. I like 3 wishes. No! I was healing! I'm going insane. So this drunk guy goes into a bar. So this drunk guy goes into a bar and he goes up to the bartender. He comes in through the south door. He goes up to the bartender. Goes up to the bartender. Goes, "Hey, Mr. Bartender, can I have a drink?" And the bartender's like, "Nah, man, you're much too drunk. You gotta go home." And so the guy's like, "Oh, all right." And so then he leaves and he goes up to the goes around the corner and he goes in through the door. It's the east side. And so now he goes up to the east side and he goes up through the east door and he goes out to the bartender. He's like, "Hey, Mr. Bartender, man, I'd like a beer. Can I have a beer?" And the bartender's like, "Nah, man, you're much too drunk. You gotta go home." And so he's like, "Oh, all right." And so then he leaves and he goes around the corner and he goes through the north door, which is up and to his right because he went around the right corner. So he goes through the north door and he goes up to the same bartender, but he doesn't realize it because he's all drunk and stuff. And so he goes up to the bartender and he goes, "Hey, Mr. Bartender, that was a really close dodge from that missile. But Mr. Bartender, I'd like a beer. Can I have a beer?" And the guy's like, "Nah, man, you're much too drunk. You gotta go home." And so he's like, "Oh, all right." And so he goes out and he goes right around the right corner. Now he's coming in through the east door and he walks up to the bartender and he goes, "Hey, Mr. Bartender, damn, man, how many bars do you own? Because I'm all drunk and I don't realize I'm coming through the same bar." All right. And then I take another hit. Okay. So then I go in and, and so then this cowboy, he's out riding around on his horse through dangerous territory. And then the Indians come in. No! The alcoholism. I'm going insane. Oh my god. So this drunk guy walks into a bar and he goes through the south door and he walks up to the bartender and he goes, "Hey, Mr. Bartender, I'd like a beer." And the bartender goes, "No, you're much too drunk. You gotta go home." And so he's like, "Oh, all right." And so he goes to go home, and so he doesn't go home because he's drunk. So he goes around the corner. He goes around the right corner, goes through the east door of the same bar, and he goes up to the bartender because the bar is in the middle. He goes up to the bartender and he goes, "Hey, Mr. Bartender, I'd like a beer." And the bartender goes, "Ha, that's funny, but nah, man, you got to go home." And so the drunk guy's like, "Oh, all right, Mr. Bartender." So he leaves, and then he goes around the right corner and he goes in through the north door, goes up the same bar because he doesn't realize because he's drunk. But again, the bar's in the middle. Ow! The bar's in the middle. So he goes up to the bartender and he goes, "Hey, Mr. Bartender, can I have a drink?" And the bartender's like not amused because this is like the third time. It's like, it's not funny anymore, man. The punchline is 3 times. This is not funny. And so the drunk guy goes, "Oh, all right." And so then he goes to leave and he finds a sweet spot first. And so then he goes in and he goes up to the bartender and he goes, "Hey, Mr. Bartender, how many bars do you own?" Okay, so there's this cowboy out and he's riding around on his horse. And it's his favorite horse. It's a magical horse. And so he goes and he's riding around and these Native American Indian people come out and they get mad and angry and then they capture him and they put him on trial and they go, "Hey, man, you are like totally guilty of crimes against our tribe. And so now you got to be put to death. But don't worry, you get 3 wishes." And so the guy's like, "All right, so I know what first wish I want to be. I want to talk to my horse." So they're like, "Okay." So he goes up to the horse. He lifts up the horse's left ear. And he goes in the horse's ear and he goes, and he whispers something. And you can't hear what it is. And so he goes, and then the horse takes off like a gunshot really, really fast. And so then later, the horse comes back. And there's this naked blonde lady on its back. And she's really pretty. And the guy does the Patrick Stewart face. No! Oh, I'm committed to this. I'm going to see this through. Damn it. So this bartender goes into a bar, and he comes in through the south door, and he goes up to the bar, and he's just like, "Hey, Mr. Bartender, I see you've got a bar here in the middle of the bar. That's kind of cool. Hey, man, I'd like a beer. And the guy's like, well, that's very observant of you, but you were clearly too drunk for a beer, so you got to go home. So the guy's like, oh, all right. So then he leaves. And then he comes in through the east door, and because he went out and he went around the right corner, and he comes in through the east door, and he goes up to the bartender. He's like, hey, Mr. Bartender, man, can I have a beer? And he's like, he's all like, nah, man, I told you, you're much too drunk. That's kind of cute and funny, but nah, man, you seriously can't go home, but you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. You got to go, man. So he's like, oh, all right. And so then he goes to leave, and then he goes out and he goes around the right, and then he goes through the north door, and he comes up through the north door, and he's just all like, hey, Mr. Bartender, can I have a beer? And the bartender's like, nah, man, that's not funny. It's not funny anymore, man. You got to go home. Seriously, you just go bug someone else. So the guy's like, he leaves. He's like, oh, all right. So he leaves. And then the guy goes around the corner, and he goes in through the north door, and he goes up to the east door, and he goes up to the bartender, and he goes, hey, Mr. Bartender, how many bars do you own? I finished the joke. All right, so there's this cowboy, and he's out riding around on a horse. And he's on this horse when the Native Americans come out, and they're very angry, and so they see him, and they're angry with him, and so they capture him, they put him on trial, and then they find him, guilty of missiles flying at him and crimes against their tribe, and so they sentence him to death. But then they're all like, hey, you still get 3 wishes. So he goes, all right, so my first wish is I want to talk to my horse. And so, okay, so he goes to talk to the horse, and he whispers in the horse ear. We can't say here what it is, but he whispers in the horse ear, and the horse takes off. Horse comes back later, but he's got a blonde, and she's all like naked. And so the cowboy is not happy because he's done. No, don't you do that! Don't you trick me! So then the cowboy is all like, I'm really frustrated, because he does the Patrick Stewart facepalm. And then he goes up to the horse and he hits the horse on the left side of the face. And so then he goes up to the horse, takes the woman to a teepee, and he's in there for like an hour having a lot of fun. I don't know, maybe they're playing Parcheesi, maybe they're playing Twister, whatever. But he comes out, and this thing's very, very angry at me right now. And so he comes out, and he's like, for my second wish, I want to talk to my horse again. And so the chief is like, oh, all right, man, you can talk to your horse again, no problem. And so he goes up, and he lifts up the horse right ear this time, and he whispers in it, but no one can hear what it is. And so then he goes up to the horse, and he whispers in the right ear, and the horse takes off. Horse comes back sometime later, only this time it's another naked woman, only this time she's a redhead. And so the man does the Patrick Swayze facepalm. Oh, maybe. Red posse! Knock, knock! Who's there? Amos. Amos who? A mosquito bit me. Knock, knock. Who's there? Andy. Andy who? Andy bit me again. So there's this car wreck where this one guy runs into the other guy. It's called a fender bender. So the guy in front, he's a doctor. And the guy in back, he's a lawyer. And so the lawyer came up to him and said, wow, I don't know about you, but I'm really rattled after that accident that I hit you in the back, and I'm very, very sorry about. So the doctor's like, yeah, man, I know. And so then the lawyer goes, hey, he pulls out a flask of liquor, and he goes, I generally take a shot after something like this to cool my nerves. And the doctor goes, oh, all right, that's a really cool idea. And then the lawyer goes, hey, do you want a drink? Do you want a sip of my drink? And the guy's like, absolutely. So the doctor takes the flask, and he takes a sip of the alcohol, and it's really good and really yummy, and he really appreciates it. So he hands it back to the lawyer, and then the lawyer caps up the flag and puts it in his jacket. And then the doctor who just had a shot goes, hey, aren't you going to finish your drink? Aren't you going to have a drink? And the lawyer goes, yeah, after the cops get here. I need another joke. Oh God, oh God, oh God, oh God, oh God. Sweet spot. Oh God, I gotta have another joke. I'm not gonna do the banana one, that's too easy. So, okay, this is the one from when I was a little kid, and it's very dumb, but this is the last effort to keep the joke thing going. So there was like this haunted house, and so these 3 kids were like, hey, let's go in and let's see what's in the house. And so the first guy goes in the house, and he's all scared, and he's all alone, and he's a kid, and he doesn't have a gun or a flashlight or anything because he's a kid, and it's all dark in the house, and so he hears, I got you where I want you now, and now I'm gonna eat you. And then he gets scared, and he runs out of the house. So a second guy goes in, and he goes, hey, that can't be so bad, because I'm still outside. I gotta heal again. I'm still outside, but hey, man, that third guy, yeah, it can't be that bad. I'm gonna die. Ah, frack. So then he goes up to the house, and the second guy goes in, and he goes, And so he goes up to the guy and he goes inside and he hears a voice that says, hey, I got you where I want you now. Now I'm going to eat you. And so he gets real scared and then he runs out and he runs away. And the third guy's like, oh, that can't be very bad. But he's really, really smart and he's brought a flashlight. And so he goes in and he hears the voice. And he hears the voice that says, hey, I got you where I want you now. Now I'm going to eat you. And he points. No! I was so close! Yeah, it's like I don't realize I've fallen off air and I finish it and I'm like, yay! And then, oh, I'm off air. That would have sucked. So this bartender goes into a bar and he comes in through the south end and he goes up to the bar that's in the middle and he goes up to the bartender and he goes, hey, Mr. Bartender, I'm kind of drunk, but I'd like a beer. And the bartender goes, kind of drunk? You're way too drunk. You need to go home or at least go somewhere else, but you can't have a drink here. And so then the drunk guy goes to the bartender and he goes, oh, all right, man, no problem. And so then he goes to leave. And then he goes around the corner and he goes to the right and he goes through the right door, which is the east side. And so then he's, ow! Okay. And so then he goes up to that bartender. He's gone through the east side. It's the same bartender. He doesn't realize because he's drunk. So he goes up to the bartender. He's all like, hey, Mr. Bartender, can I have a beer? And the bartender's like, nah, man, you're much too drunk. You got to go home. Or you can't stay here, but you got to go away. And then the guy's like, oh, all right. So then he leaves. And he goes around through the corner to the right, which is the north door. And so he goes up to the same bartender. He goes, hey, Mr. Bartender, man, can I have a beer? And the bartender's like, nah, man, you're much too drunk. Can't have a beer. And so the drunk guy's like, oh, all right. So then he goes to leave. And then he goes around to the corner, and now he goes to the north door. And he goes up to the bartender, he's like, hey, Mr. Bartender, can I have a beer? And the bartender's like, nah, man, look, it's not funny anymore. All right, you're drunk, you need to go home. Leave me alone. And so the guy's like, oh, all right. So then he leaves, and he goes around through the right door, and then he goes up to the bartender, and he goes, damn, Mr. Bartender, how many bars do you own? Ah! So there's this cowboy, and he's out riding around. And then he's out riding around, and these Native Americans come out, and they're very, very angry. So they capture him, and they put him on trial, and then they say, hey, you're guilty for crimes against our tribe. And so then, but you get 3 wishes before we put you to death. By the way, did we mention that we're gonna kill? No! No, he does realize it's the same bartender. He just thinks he's going into a different bar. I'm so thirsty from telling the stories. So this bartender, this drunk guy goes into a bar. And then he's all like, hey, Mr. Bartender, can I have a beer? And the bartender's like, nah, man, can't have a beer. You got to go home. And so then he's like, oh, all right. So then he leaves. And he goes through the door, and he turns around to the right. And the door he first went in was the south door. So he goes around to the right, and he goes in through the east door. And he goes up to the bartender, and he's just like, hey, Mr. Bartender, can I have a beer? And the bartender's like, nah, man, you're much too drunk. You got to go home. And so the guy's like, oh, all right. And so then he goes home. But he doesn't go home because he's drunk, and he goes around the corner to the right, and he goes up to the bartender, and he's all like, hey. And he doesn't realize he walked through the east door and the west door. And he goes up to the bartender, and he goes, hey, Mr. Bartender, can I have a beer? And he's just like, nah, man, I told you, you're much too drunk. Ah, I'm about to die. And then he goes, and the drunk guy goes, oh, okay. And so I'm sorry. And then he goes to leave. And then he leaves through that west door, and then he goes around the corner, and he comes in through the north door, and he walks up to the bartender, and he goes, hey, Mr. Bartender, can I have a beer? And the bartender's like, nah, man, you can't have that beer. I told you. You got to leave. You got to go home. It's not funny anymore, man. And the guy's like, oh, all right. And so then he goes out, and then he leaves. And then he goes up to, he goes around the corner, and this time he's coming through the east door. And he goes up to the bartender, and he goes, "Damn, Mr. Bartender, how many bars do you own?" Ha! Okay, so there's this cowboy, and he's out riding around on his horse, because they're a really good friend, and the horse is awesome. And so then he goes in, and then he's got his horse, and so then these Native Americans come out, and they're very, very angry, because bad stuff has been happening around in the area. And so they capture the cowboy guy, and then they put him to trial, and then they find out he's guilty, and so they're going to kill him because he's guilty. And then they say, "Hey, you have a wish. You've got 3 wishes. Would you like a wish?" And he's like, "Yeah, absolutely. My first wish, I'd like to talk to my horse." So they're like, "Oh, okay." So he goes up to the horse, and he's talking to the horse, and he whisks up to the horse. He picks up the He picks up the horse left ear, and he whispers into it, and nobody can hear what he's saying. And so then he heals, and then the horse runs off and comes back sometime later, and he's got this naked blonde on his back, and she's really pretty, and she's naked, and she's blonde. And then the cowboy does the Patrick Stewart face palm on his face, because he's all like disappointed, and he goes up to the horse and he takes the woman off, and then he goes up to the horse and he hits the horse on the left side of the face, and he takes that and then he takes that woman to an empty teepee, and he goes in there for like a long time, and there's all these fun noises coming out. I don't know, maybe they're playing poker parcheesi color squares, circle things, Twister. But she's naked, so that would be weird. So then he goes out and he goes up to the chief, and he's like, "Chief, man, I got a second wish. I want to talk to my horse again." And so the chief's like, "Oh, okay, you totally can talk to your horse again." So the guy goes up, only this time it's the right ear, and he lifts up the right ear, whispers in the right ear, and the horse takes off and comes back, and this time he's got another naked lady that's really pretty, and she's got a red head, because she's a redhead. And so the cowboy is all disappointed, and he shakes his head, and he goes up to the horse, he takes the woman off, he hits the horse on the right side of the face, and then he takes the woman back to the same teepee, and then they're in there for much longer. 3 people playing Twister. 2 of them are naked on Twister game. So then he comes out, and of course word has gotten out around about now about this naked woman bearing horse. And so all the Indians are hanging out, and they're hanging out with the chief, and they're all giggling about it. And the guy comes out, the cowboy comes out, and he's all like, "Torch, you're going to think I'm crazy, but I want to talk to my horse again." And they're like, "We want you to talk to the horse again, too." And so then he goes up to the horse, and he picks up both ears, and he bellows, "I said posse!" Knock, knock. Who's there? Amos. Amos who? Amos Skeeto bit me. Knock, knock. Who's there? Andy. Andy who? Andy bit me again. So these 3 kids heard about this haunted house, and so they went up to the haunted house, and they were like too scared to go in, and the first guy's like, "I'm gonna go in." And so then he goes in, and he's all scared and stuff, and he hears the voice that says, "I got you where I want you now, and now I'm gonna eat you." And so he gets scared, and so he runs out, and he doesn't talk to the other guys, he just leaves. And so the second guy goes, "It can't be that so bad, I can stay in longer." And so then he goes in, and he hears a voice that says, "I got you where I want you now, and now I'm gonna eat you." And he gets really, really scared. So then he runs out, and so then he runs away. And the third guy goes in, and the third guy's really smart, he's brought a flashlight. And so then he goes, "Ha!" And so he goes in, and then he hears a voice that says, "I got you where I want you now, and now I'm gonna eat you." And so then he's all like super smart, and so he points a flashlight at the person who said it, and it's JR the Ferret, and he's got a booger on his claw, and he's about to eat it. Aha, that's the joke. "Excuse me, sir, do you know you had a banana in your ear?" "What? I can't hear you. I got a banana in my ear." "Geez, don't you think that's a bit too corny, even for this corny joke stream?" "What?" "Ha ha ha ha, I said a funny joke." "How many ninjas does it take to screw in a light bulb?" "Nobody knows." "Ha ha ha ha, I made a funny joke." "I'm so close!" Ah! I don't like doing dumb blonde jokes, so I'll just say dumb person. How do you drown a dumb person? You put a scratch and sniff on the bottom of a pool. How did the dumb person break their arm raking leaves? Falling out of trees. Ah! No! I'm so close! How much wood could a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? Die, you bastard! Ah! Yes! Yes! I am so close! Ah! Knock knock, who's there? Steven. Steven who? I don't know. I can't think up a good joke. I'm right here at the end. I'm about to beat it. I need one more joke. A joke that I can say it's a really long, stupid joke. These three guys are walking along along the beach. They find a lamp. They open it up. It's a white guy, it's a Mexican guy, and it's a black guy. And I heard this joke from the native yes! Ha! I got you! I got you! You died! Ha! Hi, who are you? What the heck? Oh, again? Really? Oh, that's so cheap. So there's this movie called Boondock Saints, and it's got a really funny joke in there. And then, yes! I didn't have to tell the joke! And an A rank. Glorious, glorious, glorious day. I don't have to tell those jokes anymore. I'm going to get something to drink.
Sure, just shoot through the glass
Dude,
and get him in the face.
Can't be jumping up on me like that.
That's all kind of crazy, but really, let's be honest, are we surprised?